Thank you, Maria, and thank you to all the colleagues who have shared their experience, especially the young women that participated today. So my name is Janaina. I'm the Gender in Emergency Technical Lead for Global Hub for Plan International. And we'll be quickly touch a little bit like why crisis can be also an opportunity for transform power relationships and to bring change in terms of gender inequality. But before going to that, I think that we had some very powerful statements today, and I'm having all these young women coming and sharing their like what they want, and I think Mama said something really powerful. It's like we want to be heard and we want actions to be put in place. And I believe that we also need to move from maybe they are important to have all those policies and we have also spaces for advocacy, but we have to start moving from say and putting practice and the way that we respond to those crises. So I think that listen to the young women that were here today. I think that was a very strong message, and also looking at the importance. I think a lot of them highlight the importance of education as an enabling right, but also as a space for protection. So when we have those crises and children, girls, boys, they don't have access to education, that also put that in crisis and also remove from them an opportunity of treating, of learning a language, of being active in their community. So I think those also needs to be also considered and highlighted from what we heard. And then I think when we heard all of them coming from different contexts, different crises as well, and they all report something that is how women and girls and young women are being affected in those contexts. And we have to think that actually consider gender is life-saving. And this is something we really need as a sector to move forward in terms of like how we look at the specific needs of girls, young women, and how we also think about more sustainable practices and not just the quick response to crisis, but how we can also look at to be more progressive in the impact we have. When we have a crisis, it's a chance to be regressive in terms of the rights and also being progressive in terms of rights. In many contexts, when we have a crisis is when the power relationships, they become fragile. And that might open a space also for women and girls to take maybe roles that they wouldn't be able to take in a normal context. So we have these small windows sometimes in crisis context, and unfortunately that's still ignored as a potential way for transforming those power relationships. And then one of the things that I like always to bring is like, it's in everything we do in the humanitarian crisis is how we're going to be addressing the delivery of CVA, cash voucher transfer, and the way that we're going to be delivering food, which kind of resources we're going to be funding to deliver to the community. Have we taken consideration and asked women and girls and young women, what do they need to treat? You know, like, I think one something very basic, it's like, before we go and then put an emergency response in place, do we go and ask what they're the needs? Do we put the gender lens to understand the power relationships that they have already established there? Sometimes and most of times we speak about the issues that are raised when the crisis strike, and then you have like, you just have the exacerbation or the increase of gender-based violence, of sexual abuse, of child protection issues, and those like those several affecting the ways that the girls, boys, and young women are affected. They normally are based on already gender inequalities that were in place. You know, so there is something that is there before even when the crisis, and that can be increased as well. So we need to consider that on when we're doing a response. And we need to be brave. I think it's time for us to be brave as a sector. And I think Sabine said something that I found really interesting is the role that donors and government have. They can use platforms to advocacy, and also I think they can also be innovative in the ways they pursue the responses and the fund responses to push for more sustainable and more gender aware and gender transformative approaches. And this is for them to be brave, and also for organizations that work in the sector to be brave as well, to not look just to respond to the, let's say, the immediate needs, but also look what's the roots of the gender inequalities and how through the activities we're going to be running and doing, we can tackle that as well. So I think that's something also important to mention, and also listen to one of so from the representative from Cisma Mujer. You clearly can see like her knowledge. She works specifically in Colombia with the Venezuelan refugee girls, young women, and she understands the local system. She understands the already gender stereotypes and norms that are there, and how that affected the displaced and refugees girls and women. And that's a great value that sometimes as an international organization we don't have. So how can we work better with local organization? It's something that's been the agenda, and it's something that we need to improve. And say that I think that the donors has an important role as well, and in how we can make be innovative in the way that we also do accountability and compliance mechanisms, because that can be one of the barriers for actually engage more with local organizations. And for the international organizations to think, what is our added value for those local organizations? Is it to provide maybe more space for networking, as to maybe develop some capacity they might need to be able to improve the work? What can we learn from them as well? So this is something that I think we can improve and we can explore more in terms of like how we work with local organizations, not only women-led organizations, but also girls, adolescents, and young led organizations that normally are not taking in consideration, but they have so much potential as well. So how can we work with them and be more inclusive in the way that we put a response in place? Let me see if like I'm missing something that I found very important. I found particularly the what Lala was saying in the beginning. It was very powerful. I even cried because I thought, I get very emotional.
Was really strong words from Lale. I think it was the statement touched to us, to the heart. Lale, I think it was, this is what we need, this sharing, this courage, this being brave. And in this situation is what keeps us together. I have here a lot of questions of cooperation, of how we can do this together, of how this feminist perspective can we handle. And Janaina, you're doing a great job. You have been a light also in this path, really, and what you're doing is amazing. I mean, I work with you and it has been absolutely a pleasure. I'm really happy that you're here. And well, I want to let you finish.
No, yeah, I'm sorry, I get very emotional. But I just want to say, I'm going to close to leave space for the colleagues as well to have their questions answered. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who is participating in this space, and especially to the young women who participated. And I hope that as a sector we can improve and we can address more that specific needs. Thank you.